What's going on, people? So I thought we'd have a little chat today about two things you will hear quite a lot of in various corners of the fitness space. One being the often repeated calorie deficits don't work for me. So this will be espoused by folks who've been, tracking their calories and entering them in MyFitnessPal, and then they turn around the next week and they haven't lost any weight, and the interpretation from that is like, oh well, I was eating in a calorie deficit and I didn't lose any weight. Logical conclusion, right? Calorie deficits don't work for me. And then I'm going to compare that and contrast that and kind of weave that together with one of the other ones you'll often hear, which is I had to eat more in order to lose weight, right? Which seems like a really counterintuitive thing, and it's often kind of tied up with this idea of starvation mode and other such interesting fitness myths as that, right? Now, most fitness myths you can get rid of with like some secondary school level maths, and I'm not like talking like, this isn't like leaving cert stuff either. This is like, if you got a calculator and you can like figure out like how to add things together and like take an average, you can usually cut to the bottom of these things very quickly. People don't like putting numbers on stuff in fitness because like when you do, a lot of the claims become like unimpressive at best and dubious at worst. So you'll hear things like, hey, you'll burn tons of calories after this workout, and if you ask them how many, they'll say, oh no, loads. And then like they put a number on it, measure it, show me the research, and it's like, okay, 30, and it's like a little different to loads, eh? So yeah, let's take a little look at this, and let's crush a couple of dreams with a couple of spreadsheets here, because I always enjoy doing that. All right, so I'll get out of the way here, and let's talk about. Let's do this live, right? So we'll put this together, and we'll kind of compare it and contrast it. I know there's going to be some numbers here, folks, but listen, don't be scared of the numbers. We're going to go through them one at a time, and we're going to see what's going on, right? So let's say we're going to look at some of these calorie intakes throughout the course of the week here. So a typical kind of like average sized person is maybe working out 3 times a week or something like that. They might say, right, I'm going to really eat in a nice, solid calorie deficit here. I'm going to have 1,500 calories per day. So, it's Monday, boom, success, weighed and measured all my stuff, input it in MyFitnessPal, not a bother, did it, boom. Tuesday, also boom. Wednesday, yeah, no problem whatsoever. Thursday, fine. Friday, oh, well, goddammit, it's Friday, and, I've been eating really well all week, so whatever, I'm going to have a takeaway. Now, generally, if somebody arrives at your door and hands you a bag of food, it depends what's in it, but generally speaking, like a bag of food handed to you in a doorway will contain somewhere between 1,500 and about 2,500 calories. So Friday, we're going to come in, let's say it's the lower end, and let's say we had, 3,500 on Friday with the normal meals plus that little Friday takeaway. And then it's like Saturday, well, goddammit, I've been really good all week. I deserve to relax the weekend a little bit, right? So, maybe I get up in the morning and I might, cook something fried for breakfast with a couple of bread products. We go out somewhere in the afternoon and we have a little ice cream while we're walking around the place. And then we sit down and we have like a 3-course dinner, either, at home or in a restaurant. I don't know if you guys remember restaurants. There used to be a place you could go where you could sit down and eat food with people. It was pretty cool. They might come back sometime. And, we go home and like, goddammit, it's Saturday, so we'll have a couple of drinks, maybe just half a bottle of wine, and we'll eat a couple of chocolates while we watch TV. You don't have to work hard at all to get to like, 5,000, 6,000 calories in a day like that. Which is just one of those crummy facts of life, I'm afraid. And then Sunday you turn around and you're like, hey, you know what, I'm going to get back in the wagon on Sunday a little bit. I'm going to, even do a little bit better. So let's say Sunday's only 1,200. So let's look at what that might look like over the course of a week in terms of like comparing this to maintenance calories and average daily intake. So let's say we've got total weekly intake is going to be something like the sum of the above. So like 15,700 total weekly calories. So that'd say average daily intake. Average daily would be something like that fella there divided by 7. So it'd be about that many. And let's say this person, we said they probably have they're exercising a little bit, and they're kind of average sized dude or gal, I guess. So their maintenance calories are possibly, let's say they're about the same, right? So about 2,200. And, so now I have a problem. So then we've got, let's look at the weekly, are they in a surplus or a deficit? Surplus / deficit. And so we're just going to say that's this times 7, take away that, and okay, so we got like a 300 calorie deficit for the week, so not the end of the world. But problem, the amount of calories required to lose 1 pound of fat is about 3,500, right? As in, a pound of fat is a store of about 3,500 calories worth of energy in the human body. So if you want to remove a pound of fat, you have to have a reason for your body to go find 3,500 calories from somewhere. So that week, weekly weight change, we'll call it, is going to be something like, it's going to be this number here divided by our friend 3,500. Which I think the formula has just rounded to 0 for me, which is close enough, I suppose, as going to have a bunch of decimals and whatnot. Right, so, what have we done? We've had a huge pain in the ass. We had to weigh and measure a bunch of food. We had to plan a bunch of meals. We had to watch what you're eating. Maybe we were a little bit hungry between meals and, kind of experiencing that level of cognitive restraint. And because the too much heel kicking up at the weekend, we get into this situation where it's boom, we've just hit maintenance for the week, right? This is possibly the absolute worst way to go about eating, because you get all the pain in the ass of shopping for the food and preparing the vegetables and bringing the meals to work with you. You're literally doing all of the negative shit, all of the bothersome, time-consuming things that somebody who could be very successful at this is doing. But you get none of the damn results because you're under so much pressure that you can't maintain the damn thing, right? So normally when you hear people say eating in a calorie deficit didn't work for me, it means one of two things. Well, it only means one thing, actually. It means they weren't in the damn calorie deficit. Or sometimes they might actually mean what really happened, which is they couldn't stick to the calorie deficit because it was too severe. So let's compare that to somebody who did something like, let's say they did 1,800 calories per day, right? Which is basically this same meal plan, but they also maybe, I don't know, they had a glass of wine with dinner, or they had a couple of squares of chocolate while watching a movie that night, or maybe they just had some larger meals, or maybe they included more snacks throughout the course of the day, right? They're still in a deficit, but they're not going to feel as cognitively restrained the entire time, right? They're not oh my god, don't eat the chocolate, don't eat the chocolate, don't eat the chocolate, right? So let's say they just did that throughout the whole course of the week. So it's we don't have this boom and bust scenario, we just have something more like this. So let's do the same maths over here. So you can see their average for the week was 12,600 in that scenario, right? So they have the perception that they were eating more, and they were, and they were eating some chocolate, and they were eating some snacks, and they were drinking some alcohol and doing some stuff of that sort. But because that was not a very extreme level of deprivation, they were able to keep doing it for an entire week. So the perception is I ate more, but if you look at the actual number of calories for the week, it's less, right? So let's say their average daily is now only something like 18, well, hey Will, what's the average of 1800s? Yep, you guessed it. So their maintenance calories is the same, it's something like that. So you can see their weekly deficit is about 2,800, which would translate across to, well, it's not, I must have this thing not set to show me decimal points. Do we really care? Look, we don't really care. It's going to be point something of a pound of fat, right? So it's going to be that divided by 3,500. So it's not quite one, it's just rounded up. But it's going to be on the order of about 1 pound of fat lost that week, right? So that's pound and that's pound over there somewhere. So what can you learn from that? It's well, just because, one thing you can learn from that is just because you feel like you're eating more doesn't mean that you're actually eating more, right? So oftentimes, this happens all the damn time, where some people perceive they start eating more food, but they start losing more fat. And what they're actually doing is they're sticking to their diet more effectively the entire way through the week, and they can actually keep it up for multiple weeks. And of course, you're not going to notice 1 pound anyway, right? That can be hard to measure. I'm pointing at stuff on the screen here you guys can't see anymore. You're not going to notice that 1 pound fat loss anyway, because a pound of fat is really, really difficult to measure. It's whatever it is, it's is it slightly less than 500 grams, so say it's 400 and something grams. So a pint of water weighs about the same as 1 pound of fat, right? So, if you step in your scales and you have lost a pound of fat, but you've also recently drank 1 pint of water, your scales is going to read the same thing. So it's really, really challenging. You got to be waiting multiple weeks for this to happen. So with fat loss, you really got to think about this in I'm going to stick to something for 6 weeks or 12 weeks to get any kind of a, step in the direction that I want to go here. So, would you rather do this for 6 or 12 weeks and do all the work and spin your wheels and get a net result of nothing for it? Or would you rather say, hey, you know what, I'm going to get settled in, I'm going to do some moderate calorie restriction here and, still include some of the things I like in my diet, and then accept that, it's going to be a while before I get where I want to go, but it'll actually be easy. And that's usually better, right? Because nobody can really stick to this kind of crap. It's you're just clawing your eyeballs out trying to say no to cake all week. It's not very much fun. 2 or 3 weeks of that with a little bit of standard issue 2020 sleep deprivation and stress. It's just, why torture yourself, eh? You're going to end up in much the same place. So I hope that makes sense. Next time somebody tells you that calorie deficits don't work for them, you can just say, oh, sorry about that, man, and get on with things. Generally, it's better to be in the scenario where you're taking the longer road and you are, still mostly making healthy choices, but you got to include some of the stuff you like to eat, right? Or else you actually, guess what, won't like what you eat, and you're going to go eat some different stuff, and that's going to kick into somewhere you don't want to get to. All right, peace out, folks.